I think all the things that need to be said have been said in the past. It is difficult to talk after your boss has spoken. Mr. President, and of course the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations in charge of the UNDP has given us all the hallmark of this conversation on governance. But certainly, since this is specifically on prosperity, prospects, and what we need to do to ensure that we get the best out of our resources, we still have areas there where we can talk. I will be talking mostly from the perspective of the subnational. I must be grateful that the international bodies and Goodluck Jonathan Foundation gave opportunity for those of us that are working at the subnational level for the first time to talk in this kind of international arena where governance has been discussed. Because majority of Africans in the Sahel live at the subnational level and of course within the local governments or local authorities. So we face these challenges of poverty and lack of growth. Everything is about governance and management of scarce resources. Our resources are not even scarce. We have abundance, and yet we are living in poverty, in abject poverty. And of course, it has to do with so many factors. I will also give a little testimonial on my own part as a governor of a state that has over 8 million people, and to underscore how scarce resources can be managed to at least make a difference, leave legacies and landmarks. It all has to do with the planning and understanding, coming with the baseline studies, knowing where you are and where you will be, and how you will deploy scarce resources to carry on or carry along the bureaucracy and to leverage on extra resources from donor agencies, from the federal government, and to raise IGR. And of course, deploy the human capital that is available. And if it is not available, try to leverage on consultancy and other means so that you can do good procurement, managing resources in a manner that it will make impact. We have so many resources. In my state, we have almost everything. Good arable land, over 4.2 million hectares of arable land that are mostly reserved forests because they cannot be developed. And we have mineral resources like gold, tantalite, lithium, and all the other precious materials. But certainly we work under the federal government where such things are under the exclusive reserve of the federal government. It is just contingent upon any governor to find ways and means of partnering with the federal government. And that's why we set up special purpose vehicle where we become participant, even though we are only restricted to deployment of community agreement when people come with licenses from the federal government. Again, we have opportunity for renewable energy and so on and so forth. But certainly, we seem to be stagnant, staying where we are. Maybe the perception of governance, as explained by President Jonathan and well elucidated by the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, our regional director for UNDP, has really placed everything on the table. How do we move from there in the midst of plenty? How do we add value? So what we did, or what we must do, is to be able to know where we are and what we have on the ground and how to take strategic means to be able to achieve our desired objective. So you must have a plan. You must know where you are. You must carry the youth and the women. You cannot make empty promises. Right from onset as political leaders, we must be careful of our promises so that there will be trust, so that you will know you will deploy your scarce resources to achieving what you have. We came in when we had only 300 million naira as IGR in my state with a population of 8 million because there had been a lot of leakages, a lot of sharp practices in the management of IGR. At a point, IGR is even the exclusive reserve of the governor. It is not deployed or imputed in the budget. And we came not minding the informal sector that is producing most of the IGR, just the taxes. And then you see you cannot criminalize poverty because we have a state where most of the people are not educated in the formal way, but they are knowledgeable. So we had to really prepare our youth in agriculture because you cannot mop up all those people that are not employed and are not employable in the context of Western parlance or governance because they cannot work in the office. They cannot speak English, but they are very good in terms of knowledge. They are exposed even in the Quranic education. Their brains are opened, and they are always open to media. And so you have to be careful. They become so willing tool in terms of indoctrination. So we had an agri policy that really created ways and means for the young people to be put back to the farms, giving startups so that at the end of the day they become demonstration farms. We really created a lot of prosperity along that line, where young people, graduates, or those with diplomas will be able to employ their kins and kin. At the end of the day, they will make 20, 30 million naira. And that is a lot from poverty to prosperity. And in solid minerals, we came up with a policy whereby we don't allow our community leaders, our traditional rulers, to sign community agreements for the foreigners, mostly the Chinese, to come and cut away our common resources. We become part and parcel as a state government with the process of the business so that we take equity. At the end of the day, if you aggregate what we are getting in terms of equity, you will see that we are making so much money away from what we are normally getting from the federal coffers, from the federation account. And the activities itself put our own young people, our women, on the threshold of deep understanding to exploit their potentials, to be part of governance, to be respected because they are really connected with the government. And by so doing, we are able to create awareness that governance is about collective responsibility. I will give you an example of the COVID when it came. It was almost unheard of for people not to be allowed to go to mosque. But because we brought the emirs, we brought the religious leaders from all persuasion, we were able to convince people not to go. We opened halfway. We didn't close everything in terms of going out to make a living because most of our people get their daily meal daily. And so at the end of the day, there was clear understanding. Even in terms of insecurity that is stopping people from going to work, from going to farm, we make sure we use the same means of connectivity that we created between local authorities, community leaders, to know that we will police our villages, we will police our farms and our forests in a manner that we held our traditional rulers, our religious leaders accountable by sheer respect and giving them responsibilities that are outside the provision of our Nigerian constitution. By so doing, we had cells that are giving us information and we are collaborating. And when we stop the practice of informers that are collaborating with those that are driven by poverty to give the right of way, I would say, for those coming to abduct and do all sorts of criminality. So the whole issue of governance is looking at the planning stage, the understanding of your problems and challenges at the Sahel. The Sahel has so much potentials. We are bombarded by environmental factors because the Sahara is moving, and if we don't stop it, definitely through agriculture and so on and so forth, will not be there. And looking at our own limitations and inadequacies in terms of the manpower. Manpower is very low. I know my boss has spoken about trust to the bureaucracy. In some of the states and local governments, we don't even have the bureaucracy. The orientation is that sometimes they don't even go to office. And as a governor, at the subnational level, the most important thing is supervision. You must be there 24/7. I had the opportunity of being at the federal level, and I came to Limelight through the goodwill of my boss here with all humility, because I only came to Abuja to be a senator, and later I became the minister of FCT. So I was exposed to the act of governance, partnership with the international bodies, partnership with local authorities, looking at the health system, looking at the educational system, which are the key for showing deliverables in terms of governance. And of course, that has helped us a lot. And I think at the local level or at the subnational level, we need to know that leadership should be driven by knowledge, by clear understanding of where you are, by knowing the basics of what are your problems, and deploying those little resources you have judiciously. My boss has spoken about the issue of procurement. We know most of the common people or the ordinary people look at us with suspicion because of the prevalence of our invoicing. Project that can be done with 100,000, it can go to 1 million. So, and this is true. It's a testimony I'm giving you. We built over 7,000 classrooms to remove the prevalence of out-of-school children in my state through collaboration with international bodies. The UNDP has been there to build our system, UNICEF and the rest, and we show fidelity, sincerity in terms of governance in such a manner that we are trusted. Trust is the key word, because there is nothing we are looking for. If somebody becomes a senator, I rose as a director on the system at the federal level, and I was given opportunity to be the minister of the Federal Capital Territory with a lot of temptations from somebody that hardly had anything in common with, that is President Jonathan, who are not even in the same party. We don't share even the religious faith together. Even my zone is different from him. And he gave me the opportunity to come to Limelight. So I was driven by the passion to leave legacies and landmarks. So leaders must impute their own end result. What would they be? Would they want to be somebody like Jonathan, or they want to be like others, where they are seen with disdain, where they acquire so much that they don't need? So our own passion is to make sure we leave legacies and landmarks and do things better. I don't talk about my own predecessors. What I did was to draw a line. In terms of accountability, I asked them to fear God. I don't have to go to court with you because it's the responsibility of the police. But certainly, I will not waste my time. I must hit the ground running from day one and looking at my own period of 4 years. So I thank you for the opportunity.